this is Cass with Pressley K-9 Training, and today we're here with Dave and Lisa with Consummate K-9 Training. Today we are doing it a little bit different than we did last week. We're going to do five trainer's choice, 5 questions that we get asked often, frequently, and we thought we would kind of address them today in a little discussion. Not very formal, but just an open discussion on the thoughts and ideas that we've gathered throughout the years on these topics. So, the first topic is the term reactive, why we don't specifically like it or understand it. Take it away, Dave or Lisa.
Hey, how y'all doing today? Reactive, yeah, that's been bothering me for quite some time now since I first heard it, maybe a decade ago or maybe even less. It's become real popular, but it really doesn't tell us anything about the dog. Just to give you a couple examples, we've had clients come in or over the phone first say the dog's leash reactive, and what does that tell me? It doesn't really tell me what the issue is. Reactive doesn't explain the situation. Is the dog lunging for other dogs? Is it lunging for people? Is it only behaving poorly or aggressively when it's on a leash? A lot of the dogs we test that come in that the owners or whoever is fostering or whatever the situation says the dog's leash reactive, so we take the dog off the leash and we let it approach another dog that's in a kennel or a crate, and the dog goes to attack it. Well, there's no leash there. The dog's not confined or restricted in any way. Now, I know a leash at some point can have an adverse effect on some dogs being confined or restrained by a leash. There's a lot of ways to work around that in obedience work, but again, reactive doesn't tell us a darn thing. The other thing is with the so-called reactive dogs, we thoroughly have to test them to find out what the reactivity is, because most people that claim their dog is reactive or they're working with a reactive dog can't really emphasize or explain and emphasize what's going on with the dog. I mean, what does it do when you pass a child in a stroller, or what does it do when it passes another dog? It could be different behaviors.
And is it only with you? And that could be a possessive thing. If the dog is only reacting with you on the leash, but your husband takes the leash, the dog doesn't act like that.
Sure.
Then that's a possessive thing.
Yeah, I mean, for us, is trying to get to the bottom of your problem ASAP, or as soon as possible and as quick as possible, and most effectively. We end up having to reassess the dog thoroughly and find out and just call it. We're not going to sugarcoat it, but we're not going to yell at you either. You know, a lot of the problems with the dogs are created by the humans. It's not the dog's fault. It's a human problem, which Lisa and Cass may go into a little later. But again, reactive is just not a term that's really suitable, because it doesn't define behavior. And if there's behavior that we need to extinguish or we need to fix, we have to call a spade. So is the dog possessive aggressive? Is the dog have a different, is it truly dog aggressive? Is it gender specific? Is it because the dog has its own little bubble and maybe it's not as social as the owner would like it to be? Mm-hmm. Not all dogs are going to be that social.
Right.
But again, let's just try and to be more definitive. If you're coming in, from the professional side, or you're teaching your clients and you're teaching them, I mean, be more specific, because when we end up seeing the dog, the reactive doesn't tell us a darn thing. We have to find out what the true triggers are.
It's like an umbrella term that doesn't mean very much.
Not to me. No, it doesn't explain much. If you come and say the dog is possessive aggressive, and he guards the couch and the bed and elevated surface, but he's good with his food and he's good with balls, well, good. That's information we can use. But we can't do a broad blanket here when it comes to aggression problems or reactivity problems, if you will. So you really won't hear us use the word reactive often.
Yeah, just educate yourself on the terms. I think if you're going to be working with dogs, you owe it to the dog and to yourself to, really educate yourself on dogs. So learn the terms. I feel like a lot of people sugarcoat it too. Instead of saying aggressive, they say reactive. So it sounds a lot nicer. If you don't understand, dogs are aggressive creatures, They'll growl, they communicate via their mouth and body language, but it's just a nicer way of putting it, and you're not telling anybody anything by using reactive.
And aggression is a natural thing with animals, of course. Did that camera?
Hey, leave it.
Oh, if you hear us get up or run, there's a dog in here we're watching on little housebreaking issues possibly, and maybe getting into things they shouldn't because he doesn't know any better.
Off.
And it's a human problem, it's not the dog's problem. So we'll work him through that.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Okay, I hope that covers it. If you guys have questions, go ahead, feel free to just jump in and ask. This is open, so.
Right, you can always comment down below on Facebook, asking any kind of questions if you want us to answer them on the next Q&A.
And this isn't geared towards our clients. A lot of times our clients have been to other trainers and have not been successful. We've always been known as the end of the line for K-9 behavior, aggression problems, and stuff like that. So it's just because I prefer everybody to be more educated and not just use that umbrella term, which is basically just a kinder, gentler way to sugarcoat our problems with dogs. All right, cool.
All right, so the next topic is children and dogs. You have come across a lot of clients throughout the years where they blame the dog mostly,
and
they never blame the children or themselves as parents for the children's behaviors with the dogs.
Yeah.
So the dog normally gets all the blame.
We work with a lot of young kids with animals, and we're fixing issues that have been started. And a lot of times, you can't just get a dog and leave it out with your 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old and expect everything to go well. Sometimes the dogs look at the children as playmates. We can change that around pretty quickly with just a little bit of some of the things we do in our program, the obedience work. We've done a good deal of that today already with a dog that was with an 11-year-old, and the dog was getting kind of nasty, playing overpowering him,
it's
knocking him
just
down.
because the child started playing rough with the dog, and guess what we told him to do? Stop playing rough with the dog. Use toys. If they're going to play, you don't have to manhandle the dog. They don't have to play with the hands, because all that is telling the dog is that you're basically a playmate. I can play with you like I would my litter mate. And dogs play with their teeth. They can't help it. That's just how they play. So you can't necessarily blame the dog for that. Just stop playing rough. Take toys out there. Play with them with toys. And the parents should be able to come in and tell their dogs to knock it off if it does get too rough. But also, 10 to 11 is a perfect age to have a child start working with dogs. Otherwise, they're just any younger, they're just not consistent. But 10 to 11, we've had good success with that.
There's a level of maturity there. But again, you can't just throw the dog in the backyard with the kids. Unless it's your happy-go-lucky little golden or just genetically sweetheart of a dog that's naturally gentle with children.
Right.
A lot of times it becomes a play game that gets a little rough, and the dog learns to overpower and enjoys doing it.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of times it's not the dog's.
No, it's not the dog's fault.
It's just been taught that it can get away with teaching treating children like playmates, and that's where.
It's good for them to play. We want to have that relationship. I think every kid should grow up with a dog.
Yeah.
It's like sure. Dr. Phil says, you teach people how you want to be treated.
Yeah.
It's you teach the dog how you would like to be treated. If you don't want to be humped and you don't want to be
taken to the ground,
bit on your hands, why don't you let him know that?
Mm-hmm.
This dog's getting real comfortable all of a sudden. Up for adoption, I might imagine. I might.
Yes, and this guy is from the Pflugerville Animal Shelter, and he is up for adoption and looking for a home. So, if you're interested, let us know. All right. So the next topic is: should all dogs be social? You've had clients probably concerned about, my dog doesn't want to play with other dogs.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah,
it doesn't want to get,
they get extremely concerned if their dog's not extremely social and they can't let it run free with other dogs. And my goodness, not all dogs are social. You can't change temperament in some dogs. Some dogs would just rather not be interacting or jumping and playing and chasing other dogs.
Yep.
Some dogs get stimulated to a heightened level, and then the teeth start coming and the growling starts, and then maybe a little defensive and a little bit of jousting going on there between the dogs. So if the dog's not social, you can try some things to see. There's some tests you can do and some interactions you can do to see if the dog really enjoys playing with other dogs. But we have some, they don't care. They could care less, and they'll leave other dogs alone, but you don't have to force them.
I hate to anthropomorphize, but sometimes it's easier for people to get it when you compare humans. It's like humans. Not everybody is an extrovert. There's some of us that are introverts and just, not into it.
Right.
Not into socializing much. But don't expect everybody, a lot of people expect their dogs to just be that, party dog, I'm here, ready to play.
Why won't my dog play? Why won't my dog play? And they feel sorry. It's a personal insult. They're hurt. And it's just how your dog is. It's not that big of a deal, but the dog's not allowed to go attack other dogs.
Right. At the same time, if they don't want to play, and if they are more on the aggressive side, if they're dog aggressive, that's fine too. If that's the temperament of the dog, that's fine. But when you're on a sidewalk, you should be able to walk past the other dog and not a problem.
Oh, that takes me back to a thought I had too about the big thing on all this leash reactive stuff, is if your dog is healing properly, there would be no leash you couldn't use the leash as an excuse, because there would be zero tension on the leash whatsoever. Now, there's a problem with the leash dogs where they might behave is because there's constantly tension. So I just want to throw that in there.
Frustration.
Yeah, it leads to frustration for sure. But I want to throw that in there.
It's all handler error. That's what it comes down to. Lack of leadership. Letting the dog know, knock it off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Enough's enough.
But if it's a well-behaved dog that doesn't want to socialize, just let it be. You don't have to force it to socialize with other dogs. I mean, some dogs just don't want to hang out with other dogs.
They would sooner hang out with their
interact.
family. That's why you got a dog anyway, not to play with strange dogs. You don't have to meet every dog walking down the street.
Yeah.
I remember throughout my career, I'm like, I don't want my dog thinking every time it comes up to another dog, it's like free time, meet and greet, sniff and shake and all that stuff. It's like, no, I taught them to ignore other dogs right off the bat.
Yeah.
And a lot of dogs can't deal with, I know my dog, all of our dogs included, they're not going to deal with if I walk up to you and you've got a dog that's just like, let's play.
Yeah.
Our dogs are going to correct your dog big time. They don't like a unmannered dog. Show some manners. And we need to teach our dogs manners sometimes when you have that crazy, hey, let's go play. Mm-hmm. So don't just walk your dog up to another person's dog and
assume
that dog wants to play.
Right.
It's generally not the case.
Exactly. Just like if you meet an abrasive person and they're just like straight really on top of you the moment you meet them, like you're thrown back and you don't want anything to do with them. It's the same thing with those dogs that just
some
come
people will
on so
go
strong.
bam, and other dogs will go bam.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
it's a situation you
but
can
don't
avoid.
be personally offended if your dog just doesn't want to play.
No big deal.
Okay, so the next topic is the myth of jealousy in dogs. Can dogs feel jealous about another dog or person?
Yeah.
Take it
away. We were talking about that, but what it does, it comes down to anthropomorphizing.
Yeah, I got a call, not too long ago, and they said this dog is jealous of people and of toys. And
jealous is a human a human emotion,
Right.
I believe.
Yes.
That would be, so explain anthropomorphizing.
That's when you
real
put
quick.
human traits to dogs.
Right.
And that is like saying jealousy, when really all I wrote down during that phone call was possessive of humans and animals, and toys. That was the problem, yeah. They're not jealous, and I don't know if I've ever met a dog that wasn't possessive of something. That's just in their nature. They want, they want to possess objects, whether it's a bone or food. It's not a problem. It's just what you're going to allow.
Yeah, and to what extent that you allow.
Right.
And you certainly do not allow the extent that is off the deep end, where it's true aggression towards a human or another animal or something like that. But yeah, watch that. It's dogs don't possess a lot of the human traits that we put on there that people will say they believe they possess. Same thing with, when a dog shows aggression or something, and I'm testing a dog or looking at a dog, and I see it's all fear avoidance. And the growling with the tail's tucked, and all the body language is like, I'm scared to death of you, and it's growling and backing up. Well, the owner's like, hundreds of times, it's protective. Like, this dog's not protective. It's absolutely opposite extreme. It's this dog is extremely fearful, going into avoidance and trying to use a threat to see if I go away or not, or to see if the human will go away. If anybody came into this dog really strong, it would have tucked tail and pissed his way out the room. So.
And you see that with defensive too.
Sure.
A lot of people will say, "Oh, he's being protective," but really, if you were to attack the person, he wouldn't care. But if you went after him, he'd care.
He'd fight.
Right.
He won't fight for his owner. He might fight for himself. That's defensive. Now, folks, do you see why we're annoyed sometimes with reactive? Because there's a lot of other things going on here that we really like to get to the bottom of when we work with dogs and assess them.
And if you love dogs, you love to work with dogs, you're around a lot of dogs, learn the lingo. Learn about them.
Yep.
That's helpful.
And being aggressive isn't a problem. I mean, it's a problem for humans, and it's a problem for the dog if it takes it to the extreme. But it's not a problem for professional trainers who deal with this stuff every day. But we really like to get to the bottom of it, understand it. You'll understand it too, and then work on a solution to fix it.
He's just a lover.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah, he was pretty little skitterish.
Yeah.
And now he's like, I'm chill.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, next topic is thoughts on dog parks. Do you like them? Do you not like them? Are they good for training, or are they not good for training?
Well, to be honest with you, I think one time in my life I was in a dog park. Now, I'm sure, I know it's a great thing for a lot of folks. I know a lot of dogs, and I love the Austin area has so many available areas that you can go out and take the dogs. I'm just, wondering about behaviors and stuff like that. Like I've seen where dogs, you can get into some serious issues, and your dog can learn some behaviors that may not be the best.
I've seen, for example, I'm not going to say which park, but where the owners were correcting their dogs on something that the dogs are just being dogs. There's no need to correct. Sometimes you gotta let their dogs or pack animals. They're gonna be little squabbles, and you need to understand what an okay squabble is and when it's getting a little too far. When somebody's being a bully, maybe, or packing up. Mm-hmm. But I've seen them where they're correcting their dog for something that
Vocalizing.
We saw a play bow. One time.
Or just pinning a dog down.
A play bow and a vocalization from a play bow. A play bow is the front down, the butt in the air. That means my next intention is not serious. But he's The guy came over and clobbered his dog he said, "You're growling." Well, all the body language of the dog is, my next intention is not serious, but he didn't even pick up on that. The dog was verbal. Nothing more than being verbal.
And in the same respect, I've seen people let dogs go and not correct their dogs for something that should be corrected when there is a bully or they are packing up.
Got
the
your cheap shots.
Yeah,
cheap shots are not allowed, but you need to. So it's it's good and bad. Again, if you find us at a dog park, we're probably training outside of it. where all the dogs are just going crazy. We're trying to work some self-control into the dogs. So.
But we've got some dominant dogs, so we've got dogs that aren't interested in playing. They're interested in hanging out with us and working for us. So it's a completely different dog. But as long as they're not a huge problem, I like the big parks, you know?
Like that aren't fenced in necessarily.
Yeah.
The ones where people have to pay attention to their dog
Sure.
because
Yeah.
they could run into
Yeah.
the road.
You
They
know the
can't
park that I like.
Yes.
Yeah.
They can't play on their phone or be chitty-chatting with their friends.
Yeah,
They
they're
have to
actually
really,
focused.
It's a great place to teach some self-control for your dog. I mean, it's, you know...
And to get a full-out run. You know, a lot of times running is so important for a dog. We'll ask people, how much exercise does the dog get a day? And they'll say, oh, we take them on a 2-mile walk.
Yeah, a walk a day.
That's not enough. The dog needs to frap. They need to
heart
get out
needs to
there. Yeah.
pumping.
Yeah, you need that cardio.
So that's nice. But as far as people knowing dog behavior, I don't know. I just, again, educate yourself on dog behavior and know when it's okay, when it's not, to correct as far as, you know, letting behaviors go.
Hey,
Right.
off.
Hey,
So it's kind of to each their own.
off. No, he's gonna eat that.
Turbo's learning. Yes, he is. Oh, he might retrieve. Maybe he'll be a natural retriever. Or is he a natural chewer?
Probably
Hard to
both.
say. Yeah, he may.
He's working on
Let's see
it.
if he picks up a crescent
Boy.
wrench.
Oh, that'd be neat. But also, getting back to the dog parks, don't be that person who brings your dog to the park to teach your dog about socializing. Do that in a training class, a group class or something. Don't take your dog to a dog park and train it there. That'd be its first time learning how to get along with other
you got to be
dogs.
careful too. If you get a bully, I mean, with a young dog, I don't want to have any bad experiences dog to dog. So I'm very watchful that my young dog or pup I'm raising does not get beaten up or by another dog who takes it too far or something like that, because that could basically ruin my dog for, you know, any career he may have had. One instance like that. So,
Hey.
you know, but it's a good thing if you're having fun at it. It's good. It's a great place to you know, experience different animals and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just for
Watch how many dogs. I've seen a really small yard end up with like 30 dogs. That's a bit much. You know,
if they're all playing, good. They're all having a good time, good. But if something breaks out, it can have a lasting effect on the.
And pay attention. I'm not a fan of the people that bring their dogs and end up on the laptop the whole time.
Yep.
Pay attention to your dog.
Yeah.
And don't get mad at me if I give him a little knock
Back
it
off.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And also, for a safety precaution, be aware of what types of dogs are out there. I don't know if we've said that already, but what types. If there's 10 pitties and then there's a little min pin, that's kind of a recipe for disaster. It could be. Because you have 10 really powerful dogs, potentially powerful dogs, who will finish a fight. They may not start it, but they will finish it.
Right. And know what dog you have. Don't be clueless. Like I've got nothing against pit bulls. I've got one.
I do too.
Yeah, we all do. We all love them. But don't be clueless. I mean, come on.
Don't be naive about what you may have.
Know what you have, and understand that your dog could be the friendliest dog in the world, but will it start a fight? Not necessarily, but it's pretty much in its DNA to finish it.
Yeah.
And you don't want that to happen. You don't want that to them. All it takes is one bad fight.
Yep.
For them to understand that that's an option, and they will go for that every time because they know it's the quickest route and instinct.
Yep.
They think it solves their problems.
So it's easier just to never make it an option. Never allow it to be an option. Because then if it figures out it's an option, it's hard to get rid of that option in their brain. It's hard to work that out of there. It's possible, totally possible, but you're going to have to do a lot of work to reverse that in their mind.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Anything else you want to add about a topic or any of the other topics?
I forgot what we were talking about already.
Dog
Dogs.
parks.
Oh, okay.
Dog parks.
No.
Have fun. Have fun at the parks. Have fun.
Just be smart.
Yep.
All right. Well, that was all for our Q&A. Just quick 5 topics. And once again, Dave and Lisa with Consummate K-9 Training, and I'm Cass with Pressley K-9 Training, and we'll check you next week.
See you, folks.
All right, thank
Stay
you.
tuned. Ask questions.
Yes, ask questions down below. Bye.
Bye.